Okay, this shiur is dedicated Alilui Nishmat Tachana Bat Asnot Osnat Tachana Bat Osnat and to Miriam Bat Adina. First, I want to say a big thank you to Benjamin Roberts over here for putting this together. Everyone give Ben a big thank you. My brother from another mother. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. I want to say a big thank you to you guys, just bichlal in general. I speak about you all the time, and in the most loving and the most glowing and the most praiseworthy way. I really, really, really cherish every moment that I had with you, every moment I have with you. There is no me without you, and so I just want to say a big, big thank you. You know, and Hibodedu, one of the beautiful things is you get to reflect a lot on your life. You know, some people saw Rabbi Nachman, and Rabbi Nachman was looking up at the sky, and he goes, "What are you doing, Rabbeinu?" And the Rebbe said, "I'm looking at the sky." So he said, "Who has time to look up at the sky?" And Rabbi Nachman said, "How do you not have time to look up at the sky?" And we're always busy, you know, like hamsters on a wheel, going to the next thing, going to the next thing. Maybe Hashem just wants you to look up. So in Hibodedu, you get to look up a little bit. And I was thinking to myself, if I started anywhere else, would they have given me so much honor? Would they have given me so much love? Would they have treated me like family and welcomed me in without any preconceived notions? Listened so attentively, despite the fact that I started learning 5 seconds before that. You know, it's like the perfect situation. It was only with you guys that it could have been. And so a lot of people have been helped over the past 5 years, and I'm talking about in a big, big way. And it's all in your schut. So just thank you so much to all of you. I appreciate it. Okay? Last night I was teaching a class in Highland Park. And after the class, somebody came over to me, someone who was going to remain unnamed. And he starts to speak to me about certain experiences that he had, which are very similar to mine. Being hospitalized in a psych ward and trying many different psychiatric modalities, many different ways of trying to receive help. Nothing has helped him. He's living with his parents. He's in his 30s, you know, getting close to 40. Nice guy. Very smart, and really loves Rabbi Nachman, really loves his teachings. And he said that someone encouraged him to do something called TMS. So I actually tried TMS. It's called like trans-magnetic stimulation. It's as effective as it sounds. Didn't help me at all. It's like these little micro shocks they give you to your brain while you're awake, but they're so micro that you don't feel them. And you don't have the memory loss that you get from ECT, which, Baruch Hashem, I had that afterwards. And he said, "What do you think about this TMS thing?" I was like, "Listen, I don't know about the TMS, if it's going to work, if it's not going to work. But I could just tell you what helped me. It's called Emunah. Emunah. This thing saved my whole life. I tried TMS, I tried ECT, I tried pot, I tried alcohol, I tried cocaine, I tried acid, I tried shrooms, I tried girls, I tried traveling across the world. I tried destroying my life in every possible way. And very successfully. But I never found help. Until I found this great tzaddik, this great Rebbe, named after his grandfather from Horodenker, a student of the Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe Nachman. What does Rebbe Nachman have that saved my life? What does Rebbe Nachman have that the girls couldn't give me? What is it that Rebbe Nachman could teach me that the drugs didn't affect inside of me? Rabbi Nachman said that Emunah by most people is a very small thing. It's a small thing. It's not a big thing. But by me, Emunah is very, very big. It's very big. Rabbi Nachman says that in the time to come, with the coming of the Mashiach and the Geula, there's going to be a new song that's sung, a Shir Chadash, a new song. This song is going to be a song which encompasses all songs. I'm ready for Benny's mind to explode. It's a song that all songs are included in this song. You guys ever heard that song? Dumpst. I stopped listening to like the kind of music he did like a long time ago, so I'm sorry if I embarrassed myself, but there's going to be a song that's sung that includes all songs, and it's higher than all songs. And it's higher than all chokhmot, it's higher than all wisdom, it's higher than everything. It's a fourfold, threefold, twofold, onefold song. We don't know what this is, right? What kind of song we're talking about here? He said the song is called the Song of Emunah. And everyone's going to be singing this song. This is the song of Geula. This is the song of redemption. This is the song of healing. This is the song of Yeshua. This is the song of bracha. This is the song of Achdut. This is the song of Shalom and Shlemut, Shalom Bayit and Parnasa Tova. It's the song that includes all songs. It's the song of Emunah. Somebody came to Rav Chaim Kramer. I was there. I saw it. It was in a private setting, and said, "Please bless me with Parnasa Tova." Rav Chaim Kramer said, "I bless you. You should have Emunah Shlema." And he said, "But what about the Parnasa Tova?" I just said, Emunah, definitely. I'd love to have Emunah, but what about Parnasa? He said, "I don't know anything about Parnasa, but I bless you with Emunah Shlema." And he said, "Why can't you just bless me with Parnasa? I don't think like you're God, you know. I like you're saying it's going to happen. Understand? This is what I need, right? We're supposed to be real, no? I need Parnasa. I'm struggling with Parnasa. Help me Parnasa. Can you just give me a blessing for Parnasa?" He said, "Why would I do that to you? If I bless you with Parnasa and you get it, you got one thing. But if I bless you with Emunah and you actually get it, you'll have everything." Anybody want everything? Rabbi Nachman says to contemplate the deepest Torah in the world, you need the greatest amount of wealth. Doesn't say you need the greatest amount of money. How come you say you need the greatest amount of money? You need the greatest amount of wealth. Who is a wealthy person? A person who's happy with what he has. So Rabbi Nachman says you need all the wealth in the world to have the deepest contemplation of God. What does that mean? It means only the person who is the happiest with everything he has can really contemplate the mysteries of God. Can ever come to really know God. That's the greatest wealth in the world. I mean, what do you need wealth for to begin with? What's the purpose of wealth? Rabbi Nachman says it's supposed to be a choma, a wall for you, right? Security, people say. Why? Security, so I can feel secure. That's what it's supposed to be. But what happens if you're very ambitious and you're very industrious and you go to school and you get a degree, you're the first person in your family to do it, your parents who were Bukharin, who came from Bukhara, are so happy you did the American dream, you did it. What you do after this, we don't care, but you succeeded already by getting that degree. And you want to take it a step further because you're here, let's go. I want to live it all out, I want to give it to my kids. So you go and you get the job, you set up a practice, you set up a firm, you do whatever you do, you set up a pharmacy, yeah? And you want it to succeed, you want it to thrive. And let's say, Bezrat Hashem, you get it. 1 year, it hits. And that year, you do so well financially. Let's say you make, I don't know, what's well financially these days? You want to get?
Add the zeros.
Add the zeros, okay. $1 million's not a lot anymore, right? 4 million, 6, no, it's nothing, okay. My gosh, I must be really doing bad. 10 million, is 10 million for the first year is good? No? It's okay. $10 million, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, what are you going to want after that?
Double.
You're going to want double. And it's nothing wrong with you for that. The Torah says that's how we were created. You're going to want more. And then if you get it, you're going to want more. And if you get it, you're going to want more. And if you get it, you're going to want more. What's the purpose of the money?
To be happy.
To be happy. to feel secure, to be happy with whatever it is that you have. But you'll notice that the more that you gain in possessions, the more you want of them. Like the very great tzaddik, Chassid from the 1990s, grew up in Brooklyn, Biggie Smalls, said, more money, more problems. You guys are familiar with him? He also died very young.
It's like the Rizal.
Just like the Arizal. Lahavdil. Okay? More money, more problems. So if this guy can figure it out, then how come we can't figure it out? How come we can't figure it out? What should we be looking for then? We should be looking to feel whole with whatever it is that we have. That's the greatest happiness in the world. Can you imagine that no matter where you were, what you were going through, what you're doing, how you're feeling, what's happening, you felt unbelievably at peace about whatever it is that you were, wherever you are. Like this story Rabbi Nachman teaches about this husband who comes home to his wife, and the wife says, "What do you want for dinner?" And he says, "Whatever you want, honey." And she brings out water and bread because they're so poor, they have nothing else. And he eats the bread and he goes, hum, tum, tum, tum. "Wow, honey, this steak is amazing." She goes, "Steak? Mapiton, what's wrong with you? It's bread." And he drinks the water. He goes, "Wow, this yain, how aged is this? Is this from Hungary?" He goes, "It's water. We're poor because of you. Shmutz, we have nothing because of you. What are you talking about? We only have bread and water." He goes, "Wow, honey, this is unbelievable." Rabbi Nachman says you can develop a level of Emunah that you can taste whatever food you want in the food that you're eating.
Man.
Like man. Remember there was a time we were in the desert and I remember I was on a date with my wife when we were here in Queens. And I said, if you could experience one time in the Torah, what would you do? I said, I like the story of man. I was like, really? I didn't expect that at all from her. I said, why? She's like, because when they ate food, it tasted like whatever they wanted it to. It's like, wow, it's amazing. And Rabbi Nachman says, you know what? Everyone can eat man. If you have Emunah, the food can taste like whatever you want it to. That sounds pretty good. How much would you actually pay for food like that? How much would you pay for food like that? You ever go to a restaurant like that? It'd be amazing, no? Okay. Emunah contains everything. It has everything in it. It's kol. Said about Avram Avinu, he was blessed bakol. Says Yitzchak Avinu was blessed mikol. Says Yaakov Avinu was blessed kol. What is this thing between these three people who are the foundation of all of the Jewish people? That we are descendants of these people, that we are supposed to be living lives which mirror these people. We should be striving for what they strove for. What is it that they attained at the end of their lives? You see from this, right? We're Sephardim. We say this every day after say Birkat Hamazon. No? Bakol mikol kol. Ashkenazim don't have the schut. What does that mean? What does that mean? That they got this at the end of everything. They got kol. That Esav comes with his whole entourage, with his whole posse, with all of his money, with all of his wealth, with all of his wives, with all of his livestock. And he says, Yaakov, look at you, Nevach. They really sold you on the cult? You sat in a little stender somewhere and you were reading a book? Look at what you got from this. Look at me. Yeshli Rav. Look how much I have. I have so much. And Yaakov said back to him, Yeshli Kol. I have everything. What are you talking about? I have everything. Now, did Yaakov have everything? I'm pretty sure that Paro, when he saw him, he goes, oh my gosh, you look old. And Yaakov said, yeah, my life was really hard. I look a lot older than I am. His brother wants to kill him. He's running away from him. He ends up getting worked for 20 years, right? And then what happens? He wants to marry this girl, and guess what happens? He marries her sister. And then he has to work for all these years to be with her. And then finally he gets to have Yosef, which was the whole point from the very beginning. And what happens to Yosef? He's sold as a slave. He doesn't see him for 20 years and he thinks that he died. And his daughter, his only daughter, is raped by a non-Jew, who then has the gall to say afterwards, you know, I'd love to marry your daughter. this person went through? And he says, without hesitation and without a shadow of a doubt, when he sees Esau, I have everything. I have everything. Yaakov was the wealthiest person in the whole world. Why? Because he had Emunah. Because he had Emunah. So I said to this man last night, I said, listen, maybe this thing will help you, maybe it won't help you. But I said, for me, I wasn't going to be able to live with myself if this one thing that Rabbi Nachman keeps talking about, this thing that is the inheritance of every single Jew, that's so deep within your soul, it was given to you by your ancestors, it's yours. It's yours. You just have to cultivate it. It's a treasure. It's called Emunah. If I never actually take the steps to develop this thing, how am I going to live with myself? I mean, I tried everything. At least if I develop this thing called Emunah and it doesn't work out, I'll say, you know what? I did the best I could. I did the one thing that Rabbi Nachman told me is the only thing that's going to save my life. At least with that, I'll be able to live myself. If at the end of the day, I'm not able to support my family, my mental health never gets better, right? And I have all these things going on, but I did this thing, I'll be okay with it. So he goes, okay, so then what did you do? So let's go to the 7th lesson, Likutei Moharan. You guys are familiar with this lesson, the Heidgula, unbelievable lesson that changed my whole life. Rabbi Nachman says there that Galut is nothing other than a Chesron and Emunah. Exile of the Jewish people. Like, we're here right now. We're in Queens. We're not in Eretz Yisrael. And I'm not just talking about the physical land, because they're also in Galut over there. I'm talking about Geula. I'm talking about wealth. I'm talking about health. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about unity. I'm talking about being happy, being Jewish, enjoying it, that there's chiyut, that there's life force. It's in exile by everybody. Why is it in exile for 2,000 years? Why, if women are praying by the kotel, crying their eyes out, saying Tehillim, why is it that you guys are steiging over here, helping all your Bukharian brothers, taking them out of public school, bringing them to yeshiva? Why the heck are you still in Galut? Why are we not in Eretz Yisrael? Why are we not in the land of Israel spiritually? The place of milk and honey. Rabbi Nachman says there's one reason. A chesron in Emunah. Emunah is in exile. So guess what? We're in exile. You know why? Because you are your Emunah. So what happens when your Emunah is missing or when it's hidden? Guess what? You can't find yourself either. Because that's who you are. Rabbi Nachman then brings you the other way and he says, you know how you have Geula? Guess. Fill in the chesron. When you have Emunah, you'll have Geula. You'll have redemption. Okay, beautiful. And this is what Rabbi Nachman does in every lesson. Like a fish hook. Gives it over to you, and then you're like, I want it. How do I get it? How do I get this? And I'm just waiting. Please. And then he brings you somewhere else. And he says, but Emunah is impossible to experience without Emet. You want faith like that? You need to cultivate truth. You need to be attached to truth. Okay, beautiful. I'm getting closer. I need Emunah, and it's going to fix everything. But the only way to get to Emunah is to get to Emet. Okay, but that's a little confusing, because I see a lot of people steiging away in the yeshiva. I see a lot of balabasim learning in the morning, going to work, being stressed out for the next 12 hours, yelling at their wives when they go home, blazing afterwards, and then doing it again the next day. That's Emet? Is that the truth? It's not the Emet. Why there's so many people learning Torah, but where's the Emet? Must be that Rabbi Nachman's Emet is something even deeper than a book. How do you get that Emet? How do you get it? So again, I'm waiting. Waiting to see how you get the Emet. And then he says, this Emet is impossible to experience. Ela al yedei hikashru l'tzadikim. The only way you can experience this truth is through attachment to true tzaddikim. What is it about true tzaddikim? that brings you truth, which brings you to Emunah. The Zohar says that the 613 mitzvot that we were given at Har Sinai are 613 eitzot, good pieces of advice. Lest you think the Zohar is coming to minimalize the importance of the mitzvot and tell you they're not really commandments from God, they're really just good pieces of advice. The Zohar, Rashbi, thank you, letting me off the hook. No! He's adding to the fact that they're commandments, and he's telling you that these are good pieces of advice. But okay, I know that. God told me to do them. So if I'm Sephardic, I already know it's true, and I want to go do it. So good. Why do I need to know they're good pieces of advice? There must be something more going on here. And Rabbi Nachman fills in all the blanks. Rabbi Nachman says, every single time that you get a piece of advice from somebody, you have had union with that person. That piece of advice is called zera, it's seed. It enters into your mind, and it cultivates within the recesses of your brain. Now what happens when you plant something in fertile ground?
Fruit.
Fructifies. It grows. It develops. It becomes something. Let's just make this less abstract for a second. If one of you comes to me after the class and you say, David, listen, I have this business, I'm trying to make it work, it's not working, I don't know what to do, I'm trying everything, I do all these things that Rabbi Nachman says, I learn Likutei Moharan, I do this, I do that, and I say, you know what, I think you should do this. And you think, okay, this is like an innocent conversation, hopefully I'll get some good advice, and I'll be able to go live with it. There's nothing innocent about this. I am infiltrating you. Literally. My advice is entering into your mind, and whether or not you take it or not, it is going to give birth. Because you know what's going to happen? Either you're going to take it, and then that's the most simple meaning of you gave birth to the advice, or you're not, and you're going to have doubts about what you were doing before you spoke to me. But no matter what, that advice is going to affect you. And this is why all the stories in the Torah, and all of the times that we went like this, and we had damage that was done, what is the one thread that's common about all of them? Adam HaRishon's in the garden. What did he get from the snake, the Nachash? He got bad advice. First error, first fall in history. It didn't come from something that you think it would. It came from bad advice, just bad advice. What happens with Moshe Rabbeinu? He tries to take the Jews out of exile. And all of a sudden there's this figure named Korach, his arch enemy. And what does he tell the Jewish people? Says something like, it sounds like an unbelievable svar. It sounds like something that came out in 2024 by a Baal Tshuva. What do you mean, Moshe, you're so holy? We're all holy. The Torah didn't say we're Am Kadosh. Why are you making this whole Judaism thing just about you? Why shouldn't we all have equal parts in this? Why is it all the Torah of Moshe, the Torah of Moshe? What about Korach? What about Reuven? What about Uriel? What about Uziel? Why just you? And you hear Korach and you go, yeah, that's right. That's what the Torah says. The Torah says we're Am Kadosh. So Moshe, why are you this egotistical sycophant? Everyone is busy with you, running after you, right? You're saying you're the most humble person in the world. You said that about yourself. That sounds pretty egotistical. And we're all following you. Now before this, before Korach said this, you know what everyone was doing? Living good lives. Because they were getting good advice from Moshe. And as soon as Korach said something, bad advice. And you guys know what happened after that. What about when we were at Har Sinai? We received the Torah, 613 pieces of good advice. But you know what happened right after that? Erev came. And they said, let's do this. Bad advice. Bad advice. It's always preceded by bad advice. Why? Because you are going to give birth to it.
You're saying any downfall is preceded by bad advice?
Yes.
Is that why there's so much social media nowadays?
Yes. Unless you think, well, I'm not really listening to anybody anymore. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Don't fall asleep just yet. The bad advice is not just from other people. Primarily, it comes from yourself. When you think to do something, and that thing is not in line with the eitzes of the tzaddik emet, that's called bad advice. And guess what's going to happen when you give yourself bad advice? You're not coming to Emunah. You're not coming to Kol. So Rabbi Nachman says, how do you attach yourself to true tzaddikim? And what is it about the true tzaddikim that brings you to emet, which brings you to Emunah? It's the fact that true tzaddikim are holding on to advice that's kulo emet. Entirely true. So if you can imagine, they're like capsules, like in the Matrix. Remember when they got the two pills and you had, right? Okay. So every time Rabbi Nachman gives you an eitzah, it's that pill that brings you into a more of a truth, right? And another eitzah, it's a bigger truth. And another eitzah, it's more of a truth. Another eitzah, it's more of a truth. Only the tzaddik's advice is kulo emet. Now Rabbi Nachman is not coming to say you have nothing to offer to yourself. And he's not coming to say that no other Jews have anything to offer to you. He's just saying that even if what they're telling you is true, it's not completely true. And you can't afford that. Because the only way you get to Emunah Shlema, where you get to real Emunah, that mamish, it's living, breathing in your bones, in your veins, in your hands, in your feet. You're dancing and you're singing from that Emunah, is if the emet that you are imbibing is kulo emet. It's only truth. When we learn about Yosef Atzadik, it says he was 17 years old. He's the only person that when he comes on the scene, we learn how old he is. Why are we learning how old he is? The Torah doesn't waste time with you. It wants to tell you something fundamental about Yosef. Rav Natan comes and he says something unbelievable. He says, Yosef Atzadik was 17 years old always. He was always 17. That's why he's saying he's 17. What does it mean he's always 17? Is he like Michael Jackson that he never aged? Got some surgeries, stayed in his old precarious state? Chas v'chalila. Yosef was 17 because Gematria Tov. Yosef was good. Now Rav Natan takes it a step further. It's like, okay, that's a nice idea. But now he says you can understand the whole story between Yosef and his brothers. How could it be that his brothers got it so wrong about Yosef? How can it be? If you're going to say that his brothers were just like Stam people, then it makes sense why. You have a brother who's very successful, who's very good looking, who's very smart, and you're not so much exactly like that. So what happens? There's a lot of jealousy. It's very normal. But when you look at Chazal, when you look at the Zohar, Yosef's brothers were tzaddikim. They were on another level. They were the chariot of the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah was only with them. How do you make such a mistake? And now Rav Natan says this is why the first thing you hear about Yosef is that he is 17, that he's Tov. Rav Natan says like this: Yosef's brothers were all tzaddikim. And they were all good. Primarily. But Yosef was the only one who was only good. Rak Tov. That means that whatever was lacking in his brothers, even if it was 1%, that 1% was projected on Yosef. They saw that lacking within themselves on him. He's arrogant. He is twisted. He is immature. He's this, he's that. But you know what it was? It was them. And they saw it on Yosef. You know where the proof for this is? It's like so obvious when you start looking back. Think about every time that you see a dialogue between Yosef and his brothers. Yosef says to them, guys, I know we went through the ringer. What do you mean we went through the ringer? They sold you. Don't fight about this. Go home, tell Abba, I'm still alive. Everything's good. Come be with me. Don't argue about this. It's all from Hashem. Every single time, Yosef holds nothing against his brothers, and his brothers are busy when they leave him thinking, well, was that a show? Does he really want to do something to me after that? I mean, even at the very end of his life, right after Yaakov Avinu passes away. That means that he's taking care of them in Mitzrayim for decades. They saw Yosef. They finally saw Yosef for what he really is. It was exactly what he said from the beginning. I'm going to provide for you. And they saw it. As soon as Yaakov Avinu dies, the Torah says that the brothers start talking to themselves. Well, what are we going to do about this now? Yaakov just passed away. Maybe he was only treating us like this because Yaakov, our Abba, was still alive. How can you think like that? How can you after everything, how do you possibly think like that? And the answer again is exactly the same. The brothers were all good, but Yosef was only good. There's advice that's true, but only the tzaddik's advice is completely true. It's only true. It's rak tov. It's only good. And for you to be able to develop real emunah, the type that makes you believe so much that when I speak to him alone, I know he's listening. I know he wants to help me. I know he cares about me more than anything in the world. I know he stops whatever he's doing to listen to little old me, and he wants to help me. And I pray like that. That can only come from connecting to the absolute truth, which Rabbi Nachman says you can only get from Hikashrut to True Tzaddikim, which Rabbi Nachman says can only happen if you are taking in his advice and living with it. And every piece of advice that you bring into your life in a real way, you're getting closer to what's called Kulo Emet, only truth. And then you're closer to Emunah. That's what I told him. And he said, are you saying that I should be talking to Hashem for at least an hour a day? Is that how I should be moving now? You're saying I have to be I said, listen, I'm not telling you anything. I'm just telling you that if Rabbi Nachman said to do something, and at the very least to do this, it's good no matter what you do. It's good if you do 5 minutes. It's good if you talk to Hashem for 2 seconds. But the eitzah is at least 1 hour. And okay, so he says, but but I do Ibodah do it every day. I said, okay, that's good. But Rabbi Nachman says, you have spiritual leaders, false spiritual leaders to kill people spiritually, and you have doctors to kill people physically. So Rabbi Nachman's saying that doctors kill people, so then the question is, well, where can I get medical attention then? Where am I going to get help? If the helping field actually comes and murders you, so then where am I getting help from? Rabbi Nachman says, you don't know who the real doctors are. You know who are real doctors? You know who are the only real doctors in the world, Rabbi Nachman says? The true tzaddikim. They are doctors of the soul. And Rabbi Nachman says, the sicker you are, meaning the further you actually experience Hashem in your life, the greater of a doctor you need. Now imagine you go to a doctor, I said to him, and he tells you, I have a prescription for you. I want you to take this in the morning, I want you to take it at night. I want you to make sure that before you take it, you eat food. And I want you to make sure that after you take it, you drink water. And I want you to make sure that you have this many hours in between. And you cannot miss a day. You can't miss a time, otherwise the script doesn't work. And you do the whole thing. Come back to me in a week and tell me how you feel. And all of a sudden you come back to him after a week. You say, doctor, what the heck, man? I heard you were the best doctor in the world, and look at me, I feel worse than last week. Well, did you take the script? I did. You took it in the morning? I did. You took it at night? I mean, not every night. Well, you can't make one little... No, it's okay, but that wasn't the script. Did you eat beforehand? Sometimes, but sometimes I forgot. Okay, and did you drink afterwards? I don't know, who cares? What about the medicine? What does that have to do with the medicine? And you took it this far between? No, but why are you so fanatical? It's about these pills. No, it's about just taking these pills. Doctor says no. That's why you don't feel better. Why would I have taken all that time to tell you to do all those things just like I told you if that's not what you needed? You think I care what you do? You think I want you to spend more time than you have to? You know, Rabbi Nachman said, I only told you an hour because I didn't want to burden you. I only told you an hour because I didn't want to put too much on you. So now let's just take it back for a second.
You told all this to that guy.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Touche. I just care too much. You know, like there's a lot of good reasons not to do these things because they're really hard. But like I heard someone recently say, it takes whatever it takes. It takes whatever it takes. If a person said to you, this is how you're going to make $1 million this year, but you're going to have to work harder than everybody else on the block. Okay, so if you want to make the $1 million, it takes whatever it takes. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But this is what it takes. This class is about living with Emunah. I would love to come here and inspire you. And make you feel, wow, when I leave here, Hashem is taking care of me. Hashem loves me. Everything's going to be okay. It's true. But I would be doing you a huge disservice. Because you know what's going to happen? As soon as you wake up tomorrow, it'll be like this class never happened. Because that's the way inspiration works. It comes in and it goes away. It comes in and it fades out. And you wonder, well, why am I still dressed exactly like I was last time I saw David? Why is it I look exactly like I did the last time I saw David? Why is it that I'm in the same exact place as I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? So if I'm going to come in and do that to you, it means I don't care about you at all. I just want this class on this camera so I can put it on my YouTube channel and let the dollars pile up. And by that I mean making $35,000 a year in my beautiful little apartment, thank God. The air conditioning works though, which is good. Okay, anyway, what's the point? The point is I care too much. So Benny said, wow, you spoke to him that much? Yes. Because when he says to me, well, an hour sounds like a lot, I could just say, you're right.
23 hours sounds worse.
Yeah, you're right. An hour is a lot. But if you are imbibing advice from all different doctors, which he told me he was doing, he said he really likes the Balatanya, and he really likes Rabbi Nachman, and he really likes the Gra, and he's listening to all of these different tzaddikim, and I go, they are all tzaddikim. But Rabbi Nachman says they're all doctors. And if they're all giving you different prescriptions, you never get the healing of any of the prescriptions because you're mixing it with other scripts. Who is the tzaddik that you feel is holding on to the greatest healing in your life? Whoever that is. Is it the Baal Tanya? Is it Rav Moshe Feinstein? Is it the Gra? Is it the Rav Yosef Cairo or the Arizal? Is it the Baal Shem Tov? Is it your grandfather from Bukhara? Whoever it is, he has a script. A manuscript. And the only way you're going to be able to experience the things that he teaches you about is if you take the script.
Sounds like there's only one script.
The manuscript.
That's what it sounds like.
So, first thing that I want everybody to do when they leave here, if it's too late, then tomorrow, take a time alone. Don't ask anybody. Every Jew knows the truth within his own heart and soul. Ask yourself, which tzaddik do I feel can make the most out of my life? That I can come out with the greatest joy, and not just for me, but for my wife and for my kids. That Judaism for me will not feel like a burden or an onus, but that I am so excited to pray and to learn and to do a mitzvah and to help a Jew. Who is it that I feel like is the root of my soul? Whoever that is, find out what are the things that he tells you are the most fundamental to you getting close to Hashem. And when you find out those things, Do them. And not for a day, and not for a week, and not for a month, and not for a year. As long as it takes. As long as it takes. What else are you going to do? We're going to be 50 years old and still live in my grandparents' house? It happens. What's worse? If I go back home and I play video games for the next 20 years because this is just too hard for me, are you going to feel better when you're 50 living in your grandparents' house than if I took an hour every day for the next 20 years, no matter how hard it is, no matter how little I want to do it, no matter how little chiyut and life force that I have, no matter whatever, and know that at least I tried. I did the best I could. A doctor gave me a script and I took the script. Right? Baruch Hashem, you guys have a big blessing. You know that? There's a lot of big blessings, but one of them is that you're Sephardic and that you're Bukharian. So I want to tell you why it's a big blessing. Most times when I do these classes, I have to explain why all these things work. To go into the depths of them in terms of Kabbalistic terminology. How is this rooted in the spiritual world? Why is this true? You guys don't need any of that. You guys know Hashem is real. You guys believe in Hashem. Whether you keep it or you don't keep it, every one of you knows in your heart, it's not even a shaila for you. It's not a question for you. You just want to know, how do I do it? How do I do it? So I'm coming and I'm telling you, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. But I attach myself to someone who does. And attaching myself doesn't mean I put a bumper sticker on my car that says, Ein shum yerush ba'olam klal. That's not attachment to the tzaddik. If I smoke pie and I get on top of my car and I start dancing, I have not attached myself to the tzaddik. How do I attach myself to the tzaddik? Rabbi Nachman says it's very simple. Take your head and put it over here. Take my head and put it over here. Go enjoy your life. Go enjoy your life. You're going to have a great life now. You know why Rabbi Nachman says that the tzaddik of the generation is called the Rebbe? Because it's an acronym for Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Reish, Bet, Yud, Rebbe. Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Okay, great. He's the head of the Jewish people. No. Mamish the head. He's the head. He is the only head. And we have amazing things to contribute. We have unbelievable hearts. Some of us are very fast with our legs. Some of us are great with our hands. We all have something to offer, but we are not the head. And as soon as you're able to experience that that's real, the sooner you're going to be able to live an amazing life, because you'll let the head be the head for you. Rabbi Nachman said, I was given a secret from God that even our ancestors didn't get. It's the secret of Rosh Hashanah. Why does Rabbi Nachman know the secret of Rosh Hashanah? Because it's the Rosh Hashanah. It's the head of the year. Who is going to get the secret of the head of the year beside the head of the Jewish people? It's the head. Now what does that mean? I was with my kids and I was telling them the Lost Princess for the millionth time. So I was putting them to sleep.
Really, you're waking them up.
Very good, honey. I missed that. And my kids think they speak perfect Hebrew now. It's almost like when I'm with Mike and he's playing like the Breslov techno songs and he's like explaining to me the words to me. You're gonna like this. It's gonna be good. Don't worry. It's just water and ice. So my kids are explaining to me these songs that I always listen to, but I never even pick up on what the words mean. There's this Breslov song by Rabbi Nachman. It says that he orders your head. He orders your rosh. And I didn't know that's what it was saying. I was just singing it. And my daughter, who's 6 years old, said to me, why do we say about Rabbi Nachman, he orders your head? What does that mean? My 6-year-old daughter asked me. He makes your head order. I said, it's very, very simple. You guys are going to enjoy this. You ready? Like this. I said, when something happens to me and it hurts me and it doesn't go the way I want it to. I said to my kids, what do you feel like doing? They said, be sad. I said, good, that's exactly right. What does Rebbe Nachman tell you? Don't be sad, be happy.
What are you doing to these kids?
Why? Because I'm listening to my own head, and my head is not the head. So when something happens to me, it doesn't go the way I want it to. What happens? I immediately feel yayush. Why? Because my thoughts are not accurate. Because they're not coming from an actual head. They're coming from whatever it is that is in my head. So I need Rebbe Nachman to come to me and tell me, don't be sad. Be happy. It's a mitzvah gedolah to be happy always. I said, okay, let's do another one. You ready? When something happens and it's scary, how do you feel? I said, I feel fearful. I feel anxiety. I feel pachad. Comes Rabbi Nachman to say, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. This whole entire world is a very narrow bridge. V'ha'ika, v'ha'ika, lo lefacheh, lo lefacheh kla. V'ha'ika, v'ha'ika, lo lefacheh kla. Not to be afraid. The main thing is not to be afraid. So you would think to be afraid. Comes Rabbi Nachman to order your head and tell you, don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of.
And also one should not worry.
Exactly.
Don't worry, be happy.
Very good. Rabbi Nachman and Bob Marley, they were thinking two great minds alike, okay? Now, what are we trying to get from this? Something very simple, but something that's kulo emet. Your head is always giving you very bad advice, no matter how smart you are, because you're not the Rosh B'nai Yisrael. You're not the head. You're the heart. And the heart needs to be guided by the head. Because if you have a moach, and you have a lev, and you have a kaved, so then you have melech. You're mamish like a king. That's what happens when you have yikashra to the tzaddik, and you listen to him instead of listening to yourself. But if you do it the other way, then you either have kalem, or you have lemech, but you're definitely not a melech. You're not the king, and you don't feel like the son of the king. You feel like, oh my gosh, why do I keep feeling like this? Why does this keep happening to me? Why? And there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with us. We're just not the head.
Is a king only a king whenever he crowns Hashem or the tzaddik?
You're only the son of the king when you know you're not the king. You know why King David was made the king of Israel? You guys know?
Because he didn't think he was that guy?
Because he didn't think he was that guy. And when they said, you're that guy, he's like, I'm telling you, I'm not that guy. I'm really not that guy. Perfect. I trust you. You could be the leader. You could be the leader. There's a story of a king, and the king couldn't have kids. King couldn't have any kids. He's a goy, he's a non-Jew. And he goes to his advisors and he says, I don't know what to do, I can't have any kids. I want to have kids. So what does he do? He asks all the advisors and the doctors, they give him all these crazy ideas, and even the king himself knows this is insane. Those ideas are not sound advice. They're not good advice. Someone then finally tells him, you know, the Jews that live in this community, they have a special koach. they can pray to God, and God is going to listen to them and answer them. So he's like, that I like. And he puts out a document, an announcement, that all the Jews must pray for the king to have children. And if they don't, penalty of death. And this notice goes around, and all of the Jewish people get this notice, and they're like, oh my gosh, this crazy king is asking us to pray for him to have kids. What are we going to do? But I pray all the time. My prayers aren't answered. So they go to the zaken, they go to the elder of the community. What should we do? How do we know our prayers are going to get answered? And if they don't, he's going to kill us. So he says, you're right. There is a tzaddik nistar. There's a hidden tzaddik who he lives in the woods. Nobody knows who he is. I know where he is. I'm going to give you his address. You're going to go to him and you're going to tell him what's going on right now. And tell him that he has to pray for Kol Yisrael. And he has to pray that the king should have kids. So they go into the forest, these two Hasidim, they're looking for the hidden tzaddik, and they find this little cabin, and they knock on the door, and an unassuming person comes out, and he goes, Orchim, guests, come in! And they tell him the whole story about what's going on. He goes, I'm so sorry. I'm a simple water carrier. I'm not the person you're looking for. And they said, really? But we were told that you live here. And he goes, I'm so sorry. I'm not that guy. I'm a water carrier. So they go, okay. And they're going back home. They're like, oh my gosh, we went all the way here for nothing. And we're going back. And they go back to the zaken. And he goes, that was the guy. That was the guy. But you know what? He's a tzaddik nistar. So he doesn't want anybody to know he's a tzaddik. Go back again and tell them that if he does not go to the king, we're all going to get killed. And even a tzaddik nistar would rather be revealed than to have all his brothers die. So that's what happened. They went back. He went to the king. Says to the king, I don't know why you want me. The king goes, cut the bull crap. I know who you are. I need you to pray. The king said, I need you to pray that I should have kids. And he says, and if you don't, the Jewish people are done. So he said, okay, fine. That's it. I'm praying for you, and you're going to have a kid. Boom. King's very, very happy. Guess what happens? He has a beautiful daughter. He has a beautiful daughter, and this daughter was very special. She was unbelievably smart. She knew incredible wisdom, even for a 4-year-old. She was an unbelievable musician. She was excellent in so many different ways. She became such an attraction, not just physically, but people from around the world came to see this child prodigy, this 4-year-old who's a genius, who is a musician. And the king is so happy that after all these years, he doesn't have a kid, he finally has a kid. He gets to see that the Jews, they believe in God, they have God, God listens to them, amazing, everything's going great. But then one day he has a thought, oh my gosh, but I can't give my kingdom to my daughter. My daughter can't be the king. She could be a queen, but she can't be the king. And he realizes, oh my gosh, I need to have a son. So again, he tells his elders, his chevra, and they tell him, listen, all these ideas, and he says he doesn't like them, and finally they tell him, well, what about the Jews? Tell them they need to pray for you. Okay, great, he likes it, and he puts out another proclamation. The Jewish people need to pray for me to have a son. And if they don't, done. Same things happens with the elder. The elder says, go back to this place. And when they go there, he's not living there anymore. It's his son. And his son says the same thing as his dad. I don't know why you guys came to me. I'm just a water carrier. And they know this time. He said, listen, I don't care what you are. You have to go to the king because the Jewish people's lives at stake. He goes back and the king tells him the whole story. And this hidden tzaddik says, okay, listen, this is what I need. I need you to get me all these different jewels. Bring all these different type of jewels. Bring them to me. And I'll help you have a son. King says, no problem. He finds out where all these jewels are, goes to 47th Street, hooks it up with the Bukharians over there. They give him all the jewels, puts it together. He chops up all the jewels. He cracks them all, and he puts it into a drink, into wine. And he tells the king that he needs to drink this. And he tells the queen that she needs to drink this. And they drink these diamonds. And he says, not only are you going to have a son a year from now, but he's going to be made entirely of beautiful stones. So the king's like, wow, this is unbelievable. I didn't even expect this. I didn't need this. I just want to have a son to inherit. But he's going to be so special, all the better. And guess what happens? A year from then, has a kid. And the king is so happy. He's so excited. Brit Milah for his son, and everyone comes. And all of a sudden, he's looking at his boy, and then he remembers that the tzaddik told him he was going to be made out of beautiful stones, and he just looks like a normal kid. And he said, but he's not made out of the stones. But then he goes, you know what, who cares? I have a son, he's going to inherit the kingdom. Forgot about it, no problem. Happened to be, he was also brilliant, an amazing musician. And he even excelled in ways that the daughter didn't. And before she knows it, everyone stops visiting her and they start visiting this 4-year-old prodigy boy. And the sister starts to get very jealous. Very jealous of him. So what does she do? They're out together. And the boy decides he wants to learn how to chop wood. So he goes out and he goes to chop a piece of wood. And he accidentally cuts himself. And he cries, and the sister comes over, loving sister, and says, what's wrong? He said, I cut myself, I just chopped the wood, whatever, can you give me a Band-Aid, whatever? Helps her, and when he looks, she sees that the cut underneath the flesh, it looks like diamonds. She gets very nervous, because she remembered what they said about him when he was born, that he was going to be born made out of stones, and then he wasn't, but it looks like maybe he really is, it's just under his skin. So she faints like she's sick. And all the doctors come and she goes, you can't help me, you can't help me. The doctor said there's no hope for her. And then they bring all the magicians, the ones who do kishuf. You guys ever heard of this? Kishuf?
We're all too familiar with this.
He's doing kishuf in the back, look at him. What was this? No, wasn't it magic?
Earpiece.
It's earpiece. Guys come in, they know what's going on over here with us. Okay, so what happens? When all of them are gone, there's one dark sorcerer who's left with her. And she said, listen, come over here. I'm not really sick. I just need your help. My brother is a problem. I need you to take care of him. Get rid of him. Is there a spell that you can do to get rid of my brother? He said, yes. But after I do the spell, you're going to have to take the kishuf and throw it in the river. And then nobody will ever be able to track it. Your brother will be what he'll be. And everything will be just like you wanted to. She says, great. Does the kishuf. Right after that, the boy gets very sick and he develops a skin disease called leprosy. Very, very sick. That's right. You got it. She takes the kishuf, she runs to the river and throws it in the river. Pretty soon, the king starts asking if anyone knows how to heal the son. And nobody has an answer for her. Until they realize, well, what about the tzaddik who promised me the boy with the diamonds and the stones? So they find him. And the son says, I can help your son. I can help him. But you're going to have to find the kishuf that's in the river. That's the only way I can help your son. She overhears, the sister overhears, she runs to the river. And as soon as she runs in the river to take out the kishuf, she drowns in the river. And as soon as that happens, the boy is not only healed, but everyone gets to see he's made out of entirely beautiful, precious stones. What is this story about? Rabbi Nachman says that every single Jew is made out of entirely precious stones. But the only way you get to experience the treasure is by going to Vienna. Only if you go to Vienna can you find what you already had within you. What is Vienna? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what Vienna is?
Austria.
Vienna is in Austria. Is that close or that's far?
It's far.
It's easy to get there, it's hard to get there.
Easy now.
Would you very good. If you would think to yourself, I have something inside of me and I so desperately want to experience this, would I think that I would have to go very far to find what's already just right here? Wouldn't you just think I could just go down the street to Oel Moed every week?
Mission.
Mishkan, okay, sorry. And I'm gonna find it. It's just a few minutes away. Why have to go all the way to Vienna? Why should I have to go all the way to Vienna to find what's already inside of me? Comes Rabbi Nachman to say, you know who Vienna is? You're looking at it. Rabbi Nachman says every single Jew has beautiful, precious diamonds called Emunah inside of you. But the only way you will find it is by going to the tzaddik. Then you can find what you always had. I would like to give time to people here to ask questions. And I just want to, Bekitzer, I know Mike used to always ask me, can you just tell me in a nutshell, because I didn't pay attention for the past hour what you're talking about. And I'm going to pretend like I just want a snapshot of really, I was zoning out for this past hour. So tell me exactly what it is that you said. Living a life of Emunah. It takes whatever it takes. It's not what you thought it was going to be. At some point we have to reconcile. It is what it is. What does it take, Rabbi Nachman says? You need the absolute truth. Not just a little bit of truth, not a lot of truth. You need the highest level truth. High octane. Emet la'amito, Rabbi Nachman calls it, the truth of truth. And Rabbeinu says, how do I get this truth of truth? Through attachment to true tzaddikim. Okay, but I go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. I went once. I talk to Hashem in my car. I say thank you before I go to sleep at night in my bed. That's his spotus. No? I give tzedakah to people. I learn Shulchan Aruch sometimes. Rabbi Nachman says, Hikashut to tzaddikim is very simple. You need to take the advice that they give you and do it. You ever heard just do it? Just do it. And the more you just do it, the closer you are to this truth, and the more you are cultivated real Emunah. And when you get this Emunah, you know what you have? You're wealthy, you're healthy, you're happy, you're excited, you're connected, you feel purpose, you feel meaning, you feel joy. You have kol, everything. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Rabbi, who's your tzaddik aside from Rav Nachman? A living tzaddik.